Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Thursday. I did this on Monday too. It's Thursday now, May 22nd.
No, it says Monday here.
I know, because I wrote Monday. I don't know, guys. I don't know.
The beautiful part about this is the more you become enlightened and we're illuminated, the more you live in the ever-present now, the more saying Monday on a Thursday is forgivable. So I think your head is in a good place there, my friend.
So deep. So
deep thoughts.
What was in your sandwich today?
I don't know. I'm just in a good mood, man. And we're winding down another week and actually morphing into another one.
Okay. Well, this is episode 198. I'm Matt Roy, Chuck Miketinac on
198?
198.
Jeez.
200 next Thursday.
Woo.
Watch out.
Jeez.
Watch out. We thought we wouldn't make
We
it past
doing like
4.
a special celebration?
I don't know. You buying a cake? You bringing a
I
cake?
could.
200?
I got birthday central here the next couple days, so probably won't be me.
All right. Well, maybe I'll bring a cake.
Okay.
Leftover cake.
Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, both News 4 Fox SA. Download, rate, review the podcast. Helps us out a lot. Cowboys OTAs going on this week. Chuck, you were up there. We learned a lot, I think, over the last couple of days of OTAs up there. How did it go? What did we learn from the team up in Frisco? How did Dak look? I think that was a pleasant surprise there. What did George Pickens say on his first media availability as a Cowboy? Was Micah around? All these questions. You've got questions. We've got answers on all those things. Also going to talk the NFL rule changes or lack thereof. They did not ban the tush push, and they did not reseed playoff teams. So we'll talk about those. And if we get to it, college football will be reseeding in the playoff next year. They're going to go straight seeding, so the top 12 teams will be the top 12 seeds. Makes sense if you don't think about it. So we'll start with the Cowboys, though. So, Chuck, you were up there. I want to just give you the floor here. What did you learn while you were up there on Tuesday?
You know, it's kind of silly in a lot of ways, right? Do we make a big deal? And a lot of people are making a big deal because I feel like the vibrations that are emanating from the practices, the vibrating that's going on, and the things that are going on inside the locker room, you can sense that there's a little extra pep in everybody's step. Everybody's a little more in tune to others around them. And so, you know, I see people rolling their eyes sometimes like, oh, really? Get off the ping pong table story, or the fact that there's music at practice. Or I think everybody's job this time of year, it is whatever month it is right now, right? We're still months and months away from even going to training camp, that these are the kind of stories that you see how teams are built one brick at a time, right? This time of the year, these are the kind of things that are important, right? You want your team as galvanized as possible before it gets on the plane, goes to California, and then embarks on this huge, long schedule, and then hopefully even beyond that into the postseason. So, I don't know. I have to check myself too. It's like, really, dude, they're not reinventing the wheel. Why are we all so fascinated by all of these things, and none of them are new? But when you hear Brian Schottenheimer talk about wanting to have the greatest culture in the history of sport, I don't even know what that means. I know he does, and so it'll be fascinating to see how this all unfolds, and you know, the little nuggets that seep out week to week, month to month, and what the greatest culture in professional sports, if that is achieved, what that looks like at the ground level, if that makes any sense.
That's the first bite we've got. Let's hear from Coach Schottenheimer on his culture.
Well, the first couple of days, what we were doing some, team building things, some culture. We've spoken very openly about trying to create one of the greatest cultures in professional sports. Micah is going to be a leader for us. Micah wants to be a leader for us. He's going to do that. And so I felt like it was really important for him to be here to begin that process. And again, it's a voluntary camp, but the fact that he did that means a lot to me. We've been really spending a lot of time this offseason trying to support one another, not just me and Micah, but, going to different events and functions and foundation dinners. Osa's had his. Buddy Johnson, had a football camp. Tyler Smith has a football camp. I think if you look at the turnout that we're getting, it's been really high. And that's because we talk about it and we want to support one another. We're a family. And so when people have something like a foundation dinner event. They have a football camp. If it's important to them, then the objective and the goal should be to have as many of your family members there as possible. And, of course, I'm speaking about our teammates.
So there was a lot of questions about Shoddy and hiring him when he was hired. Oh, it's just going to be, more of the same. It's just Mike McCarthy adjacent. I got to tell you, he's rubbing off on me. Like during his opening press conference, he talked a lot about, I'm a really good person with people. I'm really good with people. I like getting to know people. I like getting to know what makes them tick and about their dogs and about this and about that. And you were like, okay, well, how's that going to translate to be a really good head coach of a football team? I got it, man. He's rubbing off on me a lot because I think that his charisma and the change that he is instituting, whether it's the practice, the music of practice, or whether it's making this a more family atmosphere and taking guys to dinner and paying for those dinners and getting to know Javante's dog's name and asking guys about their families and really rarely talking about football, getting to know them on a deeper, more intimate level so you can know how to best coach them is a very welcome change, I think.
It is. It's different. And again, everybody that I've talked to, everybody appreciates Mike McCarthy as a head coach. Everybody knows he can coach. Everybody knows that Mike McCarthy has a lot of different skill sets that make him a good NFL head football coach. But the universal thought is it was time for something different. We've done the same thing for 5 years. It hasn't equated to any kind of a long playoff run. So let's try something different. And all of these traits that Brian Schottenheimer has, we have no idea if it's going to translate on the field to win more games. I don't think it can hurt,
right?
But he's going to do it his way. I think it's cool. And I think the one thing that is fascinating too about, you talked about he's rubbing off on you. I think he's rubbing off on everybody. I mean, I told you, and I guess I could share it.
Yeah, go.
The little story the other day where I was trying to get in a question at the end of the press conference, but we were running out of time, and I made eye contact with Tad Carper, the PR guy, and he's like, sorry, hey, we tried to make it happen. We just ran out of time. Coach has got to get to practice. So yeah, no autopsy, no foul, right? I'm not thinking anything of it. When practice is getting ready to wrap up, Tad taps me on the shoulder from behind and says, hey, I'll pull Shoddy for you after practice. Just please keep it tight. I'm like, say what? I wasn't asking for him to do that. So shout out Tad. Appreciate the generosity. But
glad Tad's healthy too.
Right. So then Tad gets caught up because Dak was having a question about what his role in the availability was that day. And then I don't know if something else had come up as well, but those two walked off the field together. I mean, he is the franchise quarterback. I wouldn't expect Dak or Tad to stay with me the entire time, but I'm kind of stuck in no man's land. It's like, do I go into the locker room with the rest of the media horde because we've only got 35, 40 minutes with the players, or do I stop an NFL head coach coming off the practice field? And he's obviously got somewhere else to be too. So I thought, the hell with it. I'm just going to go roll the bones and then at least explain myself as to why I'm stopping the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Right. I did.
Which is generally a no-no for anyone that's listening. You don't stop them.
That's punishable by death in 8 or 9 states, I believe. So anyway, I introduced myself real quickly. Coach Schottenheimer was walking off with another assistant coach. Spared him the, 8 minutes worth of pleasantries, but looked him right in the eye, said, hey, can I do this? Tad said this. And he goes, yeah, sure. Be more than happy to do it. So we're doing it. And then I guess one of the other PR staff members was alerted to the fact, like, holy crap, some guy just broke massive PR protocol. Yeah. And I'm going to go, chop this guy down to smithereens.
He's about to put you in the guillotine.
Exactly. But he was very cool, even to the PR rep, which was, hey, man, no, I'm good. I'm doing this. And so, I kept it short. He was really, really good and quick, because I asked him, I said, hey, does Jerry have any insight or any pull when it comes to songs of music that get played during practice? And, what if he threw Sinatra out there? And he goes, well, if he did, it would be just like Jerry to do it his way. I mean, he didn't miss a beat, was funny, engaging, and I'm guessing he's like that with everybody. So you can understand why Jerry is taking a risk, because to him, it probably doesn't even feel like a risk, right? There's going to be X's and O's. You're going to have an OC. You're going to have a DC. You're going to have plays called. But why not afford this guy an opportunity to see if doing some things differently and really digging down in this relationship with coaches, other players that are on offense, defense, and special teams, having to mix together more than they ever have and get to know each other, from Dak all the way down to the 100th guy on the roster. Why not? But you're right. He's rubbing off on me, but he's rubbing off on a lot of people too.
Let's play that next bite, Javi. This gets into a little bit of what you were talking about with guys hanging out with one another in and outside of the locker room.
We want Dak to play quarterback to the best of his ability. He's a great culture piece because he's such a good dude, and he's such a great teammate, and his story is incredible. But when you talk about culture, it's more than just one guy, and that's what I think I'm so excited about with all the new pieces that we've added. And it probably sounds coach speak, but it's really not. We've added all these new pieces. So it's our job as a coaching staff to get these guys to hang out together outside of the building, spend time together in the building, get to know each other. Coaches get with their players, go to dinner, do things together, because we have to learn each other's stories and each other's scars so that we can truly learn how to work together and love one another and support one another. We're all going to have good days and bad days, and that's not just something we talk about. It's something we do. I take a lot of these guys to dinner. Why? Okay, it's important to me. Do I have things I could be doing? Of course I do. But there's nothing more important than me getting to know some of these players.
A couple of interesting things on that bite. First, the question was, how does Dak help you with your culture and help spread that culture to the locker room? I loved his answer, saying it's not Dak's job. His job is to be quarterback. Yes, he's a great culture piece, but his job is to be a great quarterback. It's the coaching staff's job to integrate that culture. It's very refreshing is the word that I keep hearing, or that keeps coming to mind. It's very refreshing to hear a coach say, you know what, it's our job to institute this culture, to build this culture, to kind of impress this culture upon the team so everyone believes it and starts pulling in the same direction. All these new guys, that's on us to get them up to speed. That's not on Dak to get them up to speed. Dak's going to focus on being a great quarterback. It's on us to make sure that we are pulling everybody in the same direction, getting them all at the same point. And I thought that was really interesting. But his familial kind of feeling about this where, yeah, I take guys to dinner. Like there was another shot where he asked Javonte, the new running backs, Javonte Williams, his dog's name. He's playing, free throw competitions in his office to get people competing more, and we'll hear that bite here in a little bit. It's just a very different vibe.
That's well put. That's what it is. Different energy, different vibe. And, you don't see normally, or I haven't to this point, they were on the field for right around an hour, and it's quick. Everything's up tempo. There's not a lot of standing around. Everybody's doing their groups. And when they do team drills, everybody's moving. It just seems like there's constant movement, and it stands out to me. I mean, the first drill of the day is a little cone thing, and the whole team's doing it. A lot of rah-rah stuff. Dak's right in there, right behind one of the assistant coaches leading the charge, and getting everybody jacked up for a high energy, high focus practice. I mean, it's just different. Again, they're not reinventing the wheel with some of this stuff, but because I think it's not been there. Why not try some of these things to see if this is going to pay a dividend at some point in the, during the stretch of the season, where guy's going to go the extra mile for the buddy next to him or the guy across the room or even the guy that he doesn't like or didn't like before all this team bonding stuff started happening.
None of this is going to matter if they start 0-2, but
correct.
But it is a good, I don't know how to phrase it. It's a good measuring stick early on in the off season of how this hiring is going and why they made the hiring. I think this is telling us why Jerry and Steven made that hire, because I don't know how you can have a conversation with Shoddy and not come away like, wow, that was impressive. I don't know how you can do that. So that makes a lot of sense. Let's get into a couple of the specific questions here. Micah was not there on Tuesday. He has been there previously. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Micah was in the building. The way I understand it, Coach Schottenheimer said that he'd asked Micah to be at certain things, and as a consequence to that, the coach is going to be at certain things that are important to Micah and show up with teammates, and they're going to support each other when they've got things that are important to them, whether it's in the community or if it's a football camp around town or whatever the case may be. So even his answer when, he's got to talk about one of his star players not being on the practice field during a voluntary situation. It's like Micah's not going to be on the field. He's this close, you would think, to signing a long-term deal. Like he's not going to go take the chance of making $1 gazillion and then be on a practice field, high octane. Yeah, there's no contact, but you can't control whether somebody's going to get hurt potentially in one of these things. So nobody's blaming Micah Parsons internally for him not being on the field. And even Coach Schottenheimer, looked everybody in there. He's like, look, I got an agent, right? So, this is the business side of it. And nobody's questioning Micah's commitment, his commitment to others, anything. He pretty much squashed that right and nipped it right in the bud pretty early on. But again, it was his response. Wasn't on the defensive. It's relatable. It's like, I got an agent. He's got an agent. My agent tells me business-wise, this is what I should be doing. And that's what they should be doing right this time of year. This is when business problems get solved, most of them.
Well, until Micah gets signed on the Thursday that they have the opening game. Is that what they're going to do again this year?
That could be.
Just like last year with Dak.
Who knows? Again, you thought you'd seen it all, right? You're going to give Dak that contract on opening day.
3 hours before kickoff.
Yeah, I was there. Remember, we had to,
I know.
You go from, nice relaxing morning, we're just going to ease into the day, and it was like whammo. There was bigger news before the game than there was after the game.
Yeah. Wait, who'd they beat that day?
Cleveland. It was in Cleveland.
Sorry, Bob.
Remember, we were trying to get Jerry to talk pre-game, and everybody's going, no, that's not going to happen before a game. It's like, you don't know Jerry.
Yeah, no.
Do you guys just come up with a reason to bash Cleveland?
Yeah.
No, it was just happenstance.
It's easy, right?
Yeah. I knew who they played.
The city's amazing. One of the best bounce back stories in Americana is what Cleveland looks like now and hanging out there, the vibe in Cleveland. What a great town.
Not a great team.
Love it.
A couple other things I want to get to regarding practice and the vibe around the Cowboys. So one thing that he said a lot, he being Coach Schotty, said a lot was about competitiveness. And it seems like he's trying to make these guys a more physical football team, and that's what he said a lot of the times, by bringing out the competitiveness, one between players, between offense and defense, between receivers and DBs. He wants them to compete at everything all the time. He brought the ping pong table from the players' lounge and put it smack dab in the middle of the locker room because he wants them to be playing that and competing against it or competing with it. You'll hear it from him in a second. He had free throw shooting competitions with people in his office. Like, he wants them to play and do something every single second of the day because if you're competing, you're getting better. You're trying to beat the other guy. And I love that.
I do
love
too.
It.
Yeah, right. Little things. It's little things, and you hope maybe the totality of all the little things add up.
Yeah, let's hear that bite real quick, Javi.
We do some things in the team room. We do some things in my office. QBs, I just lost to the QBs in my office. Actually, Dak was my teammate, so I guess Dak lost too. He'll be mad that I told you guys that. Yeah, it's just the central theme of the program is compete every day, and so we find different ways to do it. We look at what's going on in the world. Congratulations to the Stars. I think that's really cool for Dallas professional sports, what they're doing. So at some point in a team meeting, we might, shoot at some goals with a hockey stick and maybe a soft puck, not a hard puck. But we look at different ways to compete, and we did something for the Masters the other day that was pretty cool. Had a putt off, but get these guys in different types of environments and ask them to do different things. And it's fun to watch these world-class football players that absolutely suck at shooting free throws. Literally, I'm not going to say names, Osa, that really was not very good. But it's fun to watch these guys compete and get outside their comfort level, but to try to one-up each other.
Really throwing Osa Digizua under the bus there. Apparently, Osa is not a good free throw shooter, but it's all right. We still love him.
Yeah. He beat you in a lot of other things.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be on the wrong side.
Beat you on the line
Osa.
of scrimmage, that's for sure.
Yes.
You wanted to bring up Kyer Elam and not incident, but moment in practice.
Yes, I mean, again, teachable moment, right? He wants his guys to compete, but he doesn't want them, dancing on their graves after a big play by any stretch of the imagination. Kyer Elam broke up a pass play during practice, and Jack Green, great shot of him. He was celebrating.
Yeah, doing
he
the
was
straps.
Doing he was doing all this stuff, and you could see Schottenheimer, kind of made contact with him with his eyes, and he's like, "Nah, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Not here. Maybe you can do it against the Eagles or whatever. We're not doing that right here, right now." And again, you could see even on the look in his face, he wasn't like scolding him or anything else. Like, we're not going to do that. That's all it was. It was subtle, and I think the way he does stuff like that, the message is probably easier to receive because he's not really, coming at it from this huge authoritative figure. He's finding ways to make connections and coach without, being the guy that's standing over everybody and ruling with an iron fist.
And we've been through about 23 minutes on this pod right now, and we haven't mentioned Dak very much. I was floored by how much he was participating in practice.
You and me both, right? We were texting
Yeah.
like, hey, man, story of the day that nobody's going to be talking about is the fact that this guy's out here 7-on-7, 11-on-11. And what I was surprised at, because there were times where you could tell he's not 100%, right? A little bit of a giddy up, not super noticeable.
But there was a couple out,
Yes.
like he was running out there a little bit when getting outside the pocket.
But the fact that, those practices are going to be executed at a higher level if Dak Prescott is on the field. If he's taking the day off or rehabbing or whatever, those practices are not going to have the same kind of energy if that guy's not on the field. But yeah, I was really, really shocked at that. That was probably, to me, the thing that stood out the most was, holy crap, this guy sure is doing a lot today.
His bite about why he was out there doing so much was so good. I didn't cut it because there's a cuss word in it, but it was like, what the hell do you mean? Of course I'm out there practicing. My off season started earlier than theirs. It was so funny. He had a couple of bites in there.
It was pure, right?
It was that one, and then the imitation of Jerry finding out about George Pickens. That was awesome.
Yeah, Dak had he had the laugh count up most definitely in the scrum the other day for sure.
All right, going to get to the NFL rules here in a second. Just give me, 2 quick sentences on closing thoughts of Cowboys practice.
Well, I mean, I think you got into too about impressions of Pickens.
Mm-hmm.
At first was a little taken aback by he's wearing 13, but I asked him, hey, what's up with 13? And he's significance there. And he's like, I think there are a bunch of numbers in flux about who's going to have what when we get to training camp. But he met with everybody. He's super pleasant. He was asked some tough questions. I thought he handled himself really well. He was a little guarded, but I always wonder what somebody's really thinking. You're coming in from another organization and even a brand as big as the Steelers. Like, there's a scrum of media that's, 3 mini cams deep around this guy. And he's probably thinking, geez, all this for a freaking OTA.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the season going to look like? So that's always kind of interesting too, So I think he's going to be a lot of fun. I think once he gets more familiar with his surroundings, but boy, it sure looks like everybody likes having him around. And obviously this dude's lanky and tall and athletic and 16.3, dude. Every time he catches the ball, plus 16.3. Who doesn't want that on their squad?
Yeah. Only other thing I had on here about the practice was it seemed like the running back situation is going to be figured out late August.
Yeah. Coach Schottenheimer made that a point to say, look, you're going to go out there and you're going to see A's with B's, B's with C's, whatever your perception is of who's where. He goes, they're really junking it up a lot. There were a couple other younger guys that caught my attention too during that practice that look and move differently and not what I would expect, especially when you're talking about somebody that was, an undrafted free agent. I mean, you can tell they probably hit a couple of home runs with some undrafted guys too.
Yeah, 100%.
Save that for another day.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting as the OTAs progress over the next 3 weeks. So real quick, I want to talk about the NFL rules. So the NFL owners met again this week on some rule change ideas. They voted not to ban the tush push by 2 votes. They needed 24 to ban it. They only got 22 votes to ban it. So should they have, in your opinion, and why do you think they didn't?
I don't know why they didn't, but I don't think they should have banned it, quite frankly. I mean, is it, why should we penalize the team that does it better than anybody and used it to their advantage? I mean, defenses will adjust. Somebody will figure it out at some point, a way to best stop this. And after they figure that out, then the offense will be more creative and they'll figure out how to do some sort of trickeration off the tush push. So I don't think personally that they should have done anything to stop this. And let's see what happens if, because I'll be honest with you, I would rather see a team convert on 4th and 1 than not convert on 4th and 1.
I don't know about that.
That's just my own personal feeling. I mean, keep drives alive, keep me from going to a commercial break. That's where I'm at. I don't have a problem with the tush push, even though I know my team, they started this and they got a little egg on their face because they swung and missed.
The Eagles posting what they did after the ban did not go into effect was so funny. Like them posting the tush push against Green Bay 22-10, so funny. Just
well done. Well played,
done.
Eagles.
Tip of the cap to the
Play
Eagles.
Play like a champion again.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
Right.
I don't think they should ban it either. I think that I'm surprised that the owners did not vote to ban it because no one can stop it. It's a 92% play. Like they're going to get it. But I was surprised a little bit to see that 9 other teams joined the Eagles in voting not to ban it. I mean, the Lions, the Ravens, these really hard-nosed, running, physical teams didn't want to ban it, which I thought was kind of a little bit interesting. The other thing that they didn't vote on, or that they voted not to do, I believe, or the proposal got pulled, either one, the Lions were proposing a seating structure change, which would basically have eliminated division winners getting the top 4 seeds and would have just ranked them, best record. So even if you're, 7-10 and you win your division, like the Seahawks did a few years ago, you still get the 4th seed right now. You would have been the 7th seed in this new promotion or in this new seeding structure. That didn't happen either, and I love that it didn't because I think that the NFL playoffs right now are perfect. There's the perfect amount of teams, 14 teams. One gets it makes the end of the season valuable and the games at the end of the season valuable, especially for all the top teams who need wins to get that 1 seed so you can get the bye. And it makes division games more important. And I love that division games are more important. You can't devalue winning your division. Look at what happened in the NBA. I don't even know what division people are in anymore.
Yeah,
the Southeast Conference, like what the hell? No one knows. No one cares.
Right.
No one cares. Did you know
the West and the East? Right?
Yeah, there's West, East. Everyone's ranked 1 through 8. No one cares about divisions anymore. I didn't realize until after the season that the Heat and the Hawks were in the same division. I had no idea. And the Heat are my favorite team. I have no clue. I don't want that to happen in the NFL. I don't want the Broncos and the Chiefs game to mean less because the division winner doesn't get the 4 seed. That just doesn't. You have to incentivize winning your division, and I think that's how the NFL does it right now, and I like it.
Couldn't have said it any better.
You have to keep it like that. Last thing I want to get to is the CFP is making a change to their seeding model. College football commissioners unanimously voted to go to a straight seeding model in the college football playoff. You can throw that up, Javi. Basically, they're going to rank them 1 through 12. How they were doing it previously was the top 4 conference winners, highest ranked conference winners, got the top 4 seeds, which was the Arizona State Sun Devils got 4, Boise State got 3, so they got a bye. Should they have gotten a bye? Probably not. So, because are they better than, Texas? Are they better than Georgia? No. Are they better than Penn State? No. Well, that's how it was last year. This year, though, they're going to just go 1 through 12. So you see on your screen, Clemson last year would have been the 12 seed, which they were. Arizona State would have been the 11 seed playing Ohio State, which wouldn't have gone well for us. Boise State would have played.
That you know of.
That I know.
That's why we play the game.
Boise State would have played Indiana. So that's just kind of how the seeding structure, it will work now. There's a couple of changes, mainly. Now it basically makes Notre Dame eligible for a bye because they weren't before. The best that Notre Dame could do before is 5th because they aren't in a conference, so they weren't a conference winner, so you can't get a top 4 seed. That's changed now. I do still like that the 5 highest ranked conference champs have an automatic bid. That's one change that if they had changed that, I would have been pretty upset about, because then it just becomes an SEC Big Ten competition, and you can't have that. So still having an automatic bye for the Big 12, for the ACC, for the SEC, and for the Big Ten, and then a group of 5 team, basically, whether no matter who that is, if it's AAC or Mountain West or whatever it is. I like that is staying part of it.
Well said. I like your ideas, dude. Put me down for that. I put this in the category of the ping pong balls, dude. Just tell me what the ping pong balls are, and I'll go from there.
Chuck's really contributing today.
I'm sorry, I got another for you. You were hitting me with all these, hey, this happened today, this happened today. It's like, I was in the middle of it, like watching UTSA baseball, and I got 2 huge stories that I'm working on that are going to take every ounce of what I got upstairs to not only think about how I'm going to execute said story, but also get them on TV in a short period of time, by the way.
All right. Well, Bob, anything before we get out of here?
There was a lot of comments, back during Cowboys camp about Brian Schottenheimer, and just curious more. And you guys answered most of the questions as it came along. They're like, "What is he actually bringing? What is the difference?" And you guys went through it pretty well. So, but people are interested in that. And I do have one question. I don't remember how Marty camp was. Was it that much different? Do you guys remember by any chance?
No, but I don't even know that even on that level. I mean, even, I think, Marty was a very gregarious coach, and, the only knock on Marty was that he couldn't win the big one, but he was always there. So I'm sure there were some things that Brian obviously saw his dad do.
Yeah.
To bring people in or make a human connection on. But I got to believe that, could you see Marty Schottenheimer bringing in a ping pong table or shooting free throws in his office? No, I mean, some of this stuff he's doing on his own for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I do implore everybody, if you're really interested in Brian, I would have played the entire press conference if I could. Like, I was so interested with what Brian was saying. He had me off with every word. So I would implore you to go and watch the entire press conference, because I think you'll learn something. Yeah, I certainly did.
Yeah, for me, selfishly, I mean, we've talked about this before, right? I mean, Parcells, you always felt like you were getting an education on something when Parcells was talking. And I felt like that a lot with McCarthy, too. He spoke and he did it a little differently, but he was a pretty good information sharer as well. But yeah, I mean, he's certainly one of those guys you're going to want to tune into every week to hear what he's got to say about his squad on that day or that week.
Yeah, there's some coaches I just hate listening to their press conferences for. Sean Payton, I don't like listening to his press conferences. I feel like he's always belittling somebody or trying to like mansplain something. Brian, I could have listened to laughing over there, Javi. I could have listened to Brian for another 20 minutes. I just thought he's a very, very charismatic and interesting person that speaks very well. So.
And he loves New Edition. Who knew that? You learn something every day about people.
I leave it to Chuck to
come home with all the intel.
These weird things about people. You're very much the same way as Brian Schottenheimer. You like knowing all those, getting to know people on that level.
Well, I like the yes, especially this time of year. Like, you're not going to go ask that question right after week 3 and you just, kicked a field goal to win. But yeah, I mean, it gives you a little insight, and I'm sure he's got kids. That's how he got dragged down the New Edition hole, because why else would you have been dragged down the New Edition hole? No offense. What's the guy's name? The main guy? Harry,
I don't know.
Right?
This is your domain, bro.
Isn't Harry Styles in that band?
Biv Bub DeVoe or something? No.
Okay, well,
No idea
Bill
what you're talking
Biv.
about.
Yeah, but is Harry Styles a New Edition? Come on, somebody help me out.
Harry Styles in One
There's
Direction.
no way that somebody should know the answer in this group right here.
Harry Styles was from One Direction.
Okay, well, then I screwed that up. Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. See, you came to my rescue. Thank
It's a
you.
whole different generation.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. New Edition?
I don't know.
I don't know why I'm
is.
thinking Harry Styles when he said New Edition.
Bobby Brown was in New Edition.
There you go. Okay. Oh, maybe
Harry Styles.
So maybe it wasn't his kids. Okay, he's old enough to have been New Edition, like first run New Edition.
We need to run a New
Okay,
Edition.
see,
And then
talk
from
this out.
New Edition came Bell Biv DeVoe.
We need to run a new edition of this show.
Yes.
Last thing on the way out, I want a quick tip of the cap to Tony Reale and the entire Around the Horn crew. Their last show tomorrow. being taken off air at ESPN after 23 years. Tony Reale was the ringleader of one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. I would come home, I would turn on Stump the Schwab, and then it was an hour of PTI and Around the Horn, and it was always Woody Page and Tim Kalishaw and Jay Mariotti and Kevin Blackistone and all the original panelists on that show. I love it. It's a wonderful show, and it made a lot of kids my age want to be journalists because you were talking to real journalists on real topics, like guys that were actually on deadline, just took a half hour out of their day to. It was Zoom before Zoom, like it was the real deal. And so, tip of the cap to Tony Reale and the entire Around the Horn crew, because job well done. You guys were legends. So
yeah, shout out Marcel Louis Jacques from the Seguin Gazette. I mean, this show has brought us young journalists that turn into broadcast superstars or media superstars.
Yeah, look at Mina Kimes.
Yeah.
So
anyway, yeah, pretty cool.
Wanted to get that in at the end. That's all we got for today on the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. Remember, download, rate, review, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We will be back on Monday. I'll get the date right on Monday too, maybe. See you then.